Hello all, I am your host Rodimus Prime. It is Tuesday, May 31st, 2022, and hopefully you are all enjoying the last day of May. Today we are going to be reviewing the second episode of the Disney Plus show Kenobi. I'll be giving my thoughts, my review, and discussing story elements, so there will be some spoilers ahead. Probably not too many as the first episode. I realized I kind of went into some details, so I'm going to try to cut that back a little bit for you guys today. But alright, let's get into this review of the second episode of Kenobi. If the first episode of Kenobi set up the timeline, then the second episode was designed to give us the action we have come to crave from the Star Wars universe and where the story is headed during this 6-episode saga. From the onset of this episode, we can see the true scape of some of these worlds, as we get our first look at Daiyu, a bustling metro usually used as a hub/station before heading out on a long journey. It's a very mysterious planet, and the people like to keep their privacy, as it is noted that there are no signals in or out of Daiyu. Obi-Wan is looking for Leia, and unfortunately he has lost the signal of the ship he is tracking. I love the look of the city of Daiyu. It was, beautiful, colorful, really mysterious, but also at the same time dark, brooding, and it felt like there was something deeper, seedier going on. Obi-Wan in his search for Leia encounters a clone trooper, and when he looks upon his face you can see real sadness as he remembers when he was betrayed by a trooper who looked like the one who was begging for credits in the scene here. Obi-Wan encounters a young man who says he can take Obi-Wan to a Jedi played by the hilariously funny Kumail Nanjiani. When Obi-Wan arrives to meet this Jedi, he deduces very quickly that the man is a fake. After their brief encounter and Obi-Wan deducing that this man is a fake, the fake Jedi directs Obi-Wan to a shady establishment. During this time when he's looking for Leia, you definitely get the feeling that he is truly alone in his search, and he's almost nervous excited to be doing these kind of missions again. Also, another real quick question for those of you who actually happen to watch this episode. We get to about the 15-minute mark of this, and all of a sudden we pan to, I guess, Star Wars / Disney's version of an alien meth den. Was this here? Any particular reason? I understand it goes for story structure later and how he escapes in some capacity, but did we really need the whole setup? Glass faces, aliens working in basically this kind of stuff? I don't think so. Was it awesome? Yes, but completely unnecessary. After an encounter with two ne'er-do-wells, we see that Obi-Wan's combat skills are not what they used to be. Obi-Wan is then confronted by Vect and his henchmen. After his escape, he then heads off still in search of Leia and finds her trapped in a cell. She questions his motives, which plays to how intuitive her character is to not trust someone she does not know, even someone who is trying to save her. We then see more infighting between the Grand Inquisitor and the third sister. You can definitely see the tension between the two of them. It's at this point in time where you get the real pecking order of the Inquisitors, as the Grand Inquisitor basically looks at the third sister and says, "You're the least of us. The only reason you were brought in is because of your abilities, and even then, you still have basically what he marks as a stench." So you can tell that even though she is a part of their group, there is definitely like this whole "I'm better than you" approach from the Grand Inquisitor to her, and that's going to lead to something worse between the two of them later on, I bet you. The third sister, in rebellion of her companions, seeks out any able bounty hunter to capture Kenobi, and now every bounty hunter on the planet is looking for him. I love the dynamic between Leia and Kenobi, how they are joking with one another and taking shots at one another. The fake Jedi from earlier and his sidekick are now looking for Obi-Wan and Leia, as are the Grand Inquisitor and the fifth brother. After some movement around the city, we then pan to a scene of the Grand Inquisitor learning of the third sister's plans. We then see Reva on a rooftop looking for any disturbance or sign of Kenobi. Leia then sees a wanted hologram of Obi-Wan and realizes that she was taken because of Obi-Wan, and then runs away from him. As Obi-Wan chases Leia, we can see multiple bounty hunters after him, and they are looking for the hero, and hopefully they will be able to get the bounty and the favor of the third sister. We now see both Kenobi and Leia head for the rooftops. Reva notices the blaster fire almost immediately and heads to where it is taking place. Leia, in her running away from Kenobi as she assumes that he is the one that has got her into this problem, decides to go ahead and cross a long gap. And at this point she fails to make a jump. Obi-Wan then reaches his hand out and proceeds to stop her mid-air with the power of the Force. One thing I really appreciated as a fan of this was them showing how much of a strain it took on Obi-Wan's body. When he goes to go ahead and force levitate Leia off the ground, you can see that it takes almost everything he has, and a lot of that has to do with his disconnect from the Force. He's felt lost for about a decade, and with his disconnect, it's probably that he hasn't tried to use it in a very long time. You can see that it's really a struggle for him, and I appreciate that because that adds more development to his character. It is at this point in time that we're given a little bit more of an explanation concerning the Inquisitors and how they were former Jedi that have turned to the dark side and are now hunting their own kind. The fake Jedi Haja ends up helping out Obi-Wan and Leia and leads them to a transport ship that will get them off Daiyu. Vect, unfortunately, as much as I loved his character, was killed off by the Grand Inquisitor during this episode for not answering his questions. It is at this point in time that Reva encounters the fake Jedi Haja, and we learn a little bit about her Force abilities. She has the ability to do mind reading and deduces where Obi-Wan is heading next. It's at this point in time that there's a cool little scene between Leia and Kenobi, as Leia asks Kenobi, is it that hard to believe that you might have friends? Kenobi then tells Leia that she reminds him of an old friend, and he is referencing her mother Padme during the scene. The third sister then happens upon Kenobi, and Kenobi sends Leia to the transport ship. It is at this point in time that the third sister reveals to Kenobi that Anakin is still alive, and you can see the visible shock upon his face. Another ability that we learn about from the third sister is that at this point in time that she can detect his Force aura and knows exactly where he is. It's at this point in the episode that there is a showdown between the Grand Inquisitor and the third sister, and it's at this point in the episode that the third sister takes her lightsaber, thrusts it through the chest of the Grand Inquisitor, and he falls over dead. Now, this is the only part of the episode that kind of hindered my score. From the onset of this series, because I don't claim to know a lot about the Star Wars universe. I watched the movies, and I've watched a little bit of the sideshows like Clone Wars, but not a lot. And from what I can tell, the Grand Inquisitor, with a title like that, he's like the number one of the Inquisitors. He throws aside Reva in the first episode like it's nothing. So how is it that A, with his Force abilities, B, with his strength, that he does not see an attack from her coming and immediately is done with one thrust of the lightsaber? I didn't understand it. I don't know why they did it for the sake of the story. Maybe to give more weight to how strong her character is, her resolve. But the fact is, it feels forced, and I think it was unnecessary, and I think it might undo some stuff in the Star Wars canon, but I don't know enough. What did you guys think? What did you guys think about the end of the Grand Inquisitor in episode 2? Let me know in the comments down below. It's at this point in the episode that Kenobi and Leia get on the transport and leave the planet. As they're leaving, Reva calls after them and says, "We will find you and destroy you." We then pan to Kenobi and his ship, where he is visibly upset, and Leia asks what's wrong. He then utters under his breath, "Anakin," and then we pan to a scene of Anakin in a mask in a bacta chamber. We then hear the iconic breathing of Darth Vader in the background, and it fades to black. All in all, this episode was a good second installment in this short miniseries. It set up where our story is going. There was some decent action. The only thing I had an issue with is the killing off of the Grand Inquisitor, which I discussed earlier. Other than that, this was a solid episode that I would rate a 4 out of 5. But alright, that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. As always, the opinions stated in this video are my own, so you don't have to agree with them, but I appreciate you staying through the entirety of the video. If you could do me a secondary favor, if you could please like the video and subscribe, I would really appreciate that. And as always, I will see you guys tomorrow.